So we started our training yesterday and we saw the very first introduction of our SAP system. Then we moved on and we saw its history and features of SAP system. We also saw architecture that we are using. Currently we are working on S4 HANA version, but for now we will only discuss this R3 version. When we will move on to HANA part, at that time it will be relatively easier for us to discuss that. Then we saw our application layer, right? Then we moved on and we saw how project is handled in SAP system. Then we saw the elements of GUI. Then we also saw how we are going to develop our custom objects as a developer. Then we move on and we saw our workbench tools, and we started our very first chapter, which is ABAP dictionary. So ABAP dictionary is the central repository system in SAP, which is used to create or maintain the database objects like tables, view, data types, domains, search helps, and lots of things. We all can see that part, right? We all can see directly from S11, and these are all the things that we have available in our ABAP dictionary which we use. So out of this, the very first radio button we have is table. So we started with the introduction part of table. What is table? Table is nothing but just a collection of rows and columns where we are going to store the data, and this will be the mainly permanent storage inside the database where our actual data will be stored, right? Then what we also saw, that what SAP has done, every data we cannot store in a single table for each module. So they have divided the tables mainly in two parts, and they have given the name as header and item table. And what a header does, header actually contains the main document information, and item contains the line item data. So the data mainly which we are not going to change very often on a regular basis, or the data which we will only use to see the content. The best example is, let's say, for every month when your company is going to credit your salary, what they will do, they will simply check your data, they will check your salary, and accordingly they are going to credit your salary. But if I talk about let's say transactions of a account, transactions of a company, so every day on a regular basis there are certain transactions the company is doing. Let's say they are investing some amount to purchase any item, or they are sending the salary of the employee. So transactions are something that is happening on a regular basis, so that kind of data we cannot directly store on header date table. That's why two tables are there, header and item, and we will also see how we are going to create that. But before, we need to understand some important modules and their corresponding header and item tables. So some important modules which we must remember as a ABAPer, because this is what expected from us. So here the very first one is, some of you might have worked on that also, sales and distribution. Also known as SD module. So in this sales and distribution, the important transaction codes that we have, or as a ABAPer we must remember, is VA01, which is used to sales order creation, used for sales order creation. If you want to create any sales order data, you will go for VA01. Then you have VA02, which is sales order change. If you have created any sales order data and you want to modify it, you will go to VA02. And then we have VA03, which is sales order display. That is, if you have created any data and you want to see its content, you can directly go to VA03 and you will be able to display your sales order. Then the important tables for sales order is header table, is my VBAK or VBAK. All these names are German namespaces, all of them. This is a German T code. They have, because our SAP is a German based product, so their VBAK might be, the meaning of VBAK will be sales order. That's why they have given this VBAK table. Then if I talk about this item table, here you will see VBAP. So these are the two important things that we must remember for our sales order. Then I will move on to the second, which is invoice or billing details. Invoice or billing details. So here the important transaction code that we have is VF01. This is my billing document creation. Billing document creation. Then we have VF02, which is billing document change. And the third one that we have is VF03, which is my billing document display. Billing document display, right? Now if I talk about the tables that we have here is, so the header table will be VBRK. This is my header table. And VBRP is my item table here. So VBRP is my item table. There are two important tables that is important for invoice. If you want to check the data, you can directly go for VBRK and VBRP and you will be able to see that. Yeah, anything? Third one is material management. Is there any question? Saurabh, why you are on
No,
mute?
no.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
It is also known as MM module. Now, if I talk about this one, the important transaction codes for us is MM01 for creation, MM02 to change, and MM03 to display the material master. And here the important tables that we have is MARA table, also known as material master. So material master table, and the second important one is MAKT table, which is material display table. Sorry, material description table, where the description of the material is stored. So this is material master. One also is important, purchase order. Purchase order, right? So here if I talk about its transaction codes, you will see that we have got ME21N, ME22N, and ME23N to display. Create, change, and display. If you will find out the similarity, you will see only one thing. They have just changed one last digit value, just 21, 22, and 23. And the tables here is purchase order header is my EKKO table, and purchase order item is my EKPO table. Purchase order header and purchase order item is my EKPO table. So the main difference you will find out is the difference of K and P. Just look at this. KP, KP, right? Mostly this is the only difference you will see in case of header and item table. So we will see how we are going to create our own header and item table, and then we will see how this linking is going to be done so that we are going to maintain the consistency of data. So let's create our own table, creating our own header and item table. So creating our own header and item table, so that we can understand this, how these standard tables are actually working, and how we can also create any kind of table if we are getting from our client. For that, I have taken a sample here. I have taken two tables. One is my employee table, which this table is going to contain the data of the employee, and the second one is my project table. So inside my project table, this table will contain the data of the project which this employee is going to get. So we all know any employee can have multiple projects, right? It is possible for any employee to get allocated to multiple projects. Now if we talk about this, your manager have lots of employees under him, and all their projects are taken care by the manager only, right? So that is why I have divided these two tables. One table will contain all the project and related data into that, and the employee, its ID, its department, manager, salary, and its value will be stored into header table. That's why header and item table. Now, how many of you have idea about data type and primary key?
I have the basic idea.
Okay, tell me. What do you understand about a normal data type? This is my
Okay,
question.
normal data.
No, no, just what
Yeah,
is a data
no,
type?
data type is like the type of, like, in coding language, the type of data that we are putting like as an input. Like it's a container, kind of
Okay.
container where we actually consist where actually it contains data, some kind of like int,
It is like a
character.
container. So you are saying me that data type will take some space. Definitely, if it is a container, then it will be taking some space where I am storing some data. Is it?
Yeah, you can say that, as of me.
Okay, all right. Anyone else?
The data type, it's the characteristic of the object. If it's
That is more good.
a character, if it's a string,
Mm-hmm.
if it's a table, if it's a structure.
Okay, Omar, that's good. This is more correct answer. But just don't make it so complex. The here it is a type of data. That is correct. Data type is just data type tells us the type of data, but it is it is just a technical characteristics. That is what kind of data we will store into the table or container. It has nothing to do with data type. Data type is not a container. From now on, please keep this thing in your mind that, wait a second, okay. From now on, please keep this in your mind that data type will never ever take any space, will never take any space. That part we will discuss in detail in programming, but for now this thing should be permanent in your mind. If anything is a data type, or if it is a type, it is just a type. Best example is, let's say I'm going to store some name. So that name I will store it in a container or variable, but what the type of name will be string. String is not a container, it is just a type, it is a physical property. Let's say I'm a teacher, so that is my property, right? That actual property is not taking any space, that is just a type. Are you all getting my point?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what
Yes.
we see is in tables, every column have some data type. Every column have some data type where we define what kind of data we will store into our table. That's why whenever you are going to get requirement, if you are a functional consultant, you might have seen a Excel sheet like this one, where whenever you usually pass this thing to a web developer to create a table, there is some field, the name of the field and its description, which will be the primary key, what is the data type, what will be its length. So let's say if I have to store my employee name, so I will define it now. I have given here character 40 because I personally believe that 40 length is more than sufficient to store any name, but it can change. If the client requirement is that I don't like this 40, please make it 50, so we will have to make it 50, right? So it's totally depends how the client is going to give you. This is how they will give you that this is my employee ID and its data type will be character, or its length will be 3, right? So all these things will be specified. You can get numeric character, you can get integers, you can get this currency, quantity, lots of data types are already given by SAP, and we can also create our own complex data type that we will also see in the programming part. But since we are just creating the table, we just need to understand for every column you will have its data type. So this salary will contain the data of currency. This currency CURR, this currency field will contain the data of quantity. So that part we will discuss today. Are you all getting my point, what I am trying to explain here? Every column will definitely have a data type where we will define what kind of data we are going to store into that particular column. Okay. Then the second important thing here is what is a primary key. So primary key defines the records, defines or identifies the records uniquely in a table. So for every table, it is mandatory to give at least one primary key. Why? The best example is, let's say you have joined the company, you have joined a organization, and let's say your employee ID is 101. Let's say take the example of Omar. Omar has joined a company where his employee ID has been created 101. So is it possible that this 101 employee ID will be allocated for any other employee? Is it possible? Definitely not. This employee ID will be unique. It will be only allocated to Omar or any other. So whenever an employee ID is created, that is a unique. That is how your HR team, your manager, or any other employee of your organization is going to identify you, right? This is how table here is also defined. It is the same thing. Just connect with your real life. You will understand how it has been defined. So this employee ID is unique. So how this table will understand that this is unique when I will make this employee ID as primary key, right? So every column has some primary key. Let's go and check our standard table. Let's say I'm opening my sales order header, VBAK table. So, log in. So if I will open my VBAK table, you will find out, just see here, see, this key is what is identifying a primary key. So how many primary keys are there? There is something called this MANDT, which we will discuss later on. But you see here, 2 primary keys are there. Can you see this checkbox? So this is a primary key here. VBELN is the primary key of your VBAK table, sales document number. So similarly, when you will get to create any table, you at the same time, who is going to tell you that what will be the primary key? Your client will tell you. So your client will explain which column will be the primary key. And according to SAP guidelines, all the primary keys should be stored at the top of the table. All the primary keys should be stored at the top of the table. Open any table and you will find out the same thing. You can see only these above two fields are primary keys, rest of below none of them are primary key. So only if you want any columns should be a primary key, you will have to store it at the top of the table. You will have to store it at the top of the table. Okay. Is these two things clear? What is data type and what is primary key?
Yeah.
Yeah. We can see it in any kind of table, right?
Yeah, just open it. It's not only VBA. Let's say I'm going for Mara table. Right? See, primary keys are crucial. Sometimes you will see multiple primary keys also. Let's say I'm going for MAKT table. See here, multiple primary keys are there. It's depend what kind of table is there. When we go for multiple primary keys, see here, we have two primary keys. MANDT is something else. I will explain it within 30 minutes. But for now, let's just focus on MATNR and SPRAS. So see here, two primary keys are there. So now for this table, the combination of these two primary key will become unique. The best example is just go and check its content. See here. FG126 is a material number and here SPRAS is D. Now again this FG126 is there but SPRAS is E, right? Since these two are primary keys, so combination of them will become unique, right? Just see their combination FG126 and D and FG126 and E. Combination is new record, right? Here the combination of both of them is a new record. That is how primary key works. If there is only one primary key, all of them will be unique. But whenever we want to store some duplicate records, so mostly in case of item table, you can see more than one records are there. That is why the item tables have more than one primary key. Just go and check most of the item table. Not only this MAKT, if I am going for VBAP, which is my item table of sales order, there you will also see multiple primary keys are there, because there is a possibility that more than one records we are going to store. That is why we give them multiple primary keys. So it's a important point here. Whenever you know that your table is going to store more than one records or more than one records, going to store duplicate records, then we will have multiple primary keys in our table. Okay, this is again a guideline. Is it clear?
So the multiple primary keys will work together as a combination. So it will act as
When you have multiple primary keys, now the combination is the primary key here. The combination of all these three will be unique. Just go and check, because MANDT is the client number. It is going to be same. Now this table do not have multiple records. Okay, let's go back to our MAKT. There we will find out. Just go and check. Just see them. Their combination is unique. See, 1 to 9, 1 to 9, two times it is there, but here SPRAS is different. Once it is D and another time it is E. D is for German, E is for English. Okay? Yeah, this is how any table is there. This is a standard table, and using standard tables, we usually understand its flow so that we can create our own custom tables also. So this is my requirement. I have to create this employee and project details table. So now one again important note, important point. So I will give it in a note. What this note is saying, whenever you will get any requirement to create any tables, the first question that should always rise in your mind is what will be my data, what will be my domain, and what will be my data element. Data element. This is the most important thing whenever we are learning it for the very first time. The most basic thing and the most important thing also. Whenever I am going to create any table, the first question that should always arise in my mind is what will be the domain and what will be the data element of my table. Domain and data element. Domain and data element. Any idea what is domain, what is data element?
Domain usually is the technical characteristics of data.
Perfect.
What kind of data is
So domain tells us the technical characteristics of a characteristic of a field or column. From now on, just understand this thing. In SAP terminology, the field, column, everything is same. They are just the different names of the same column. Either I will call it field or column. Both of them are same thing. Here, what is technical characteristics? So technical characteristics means characteristics means data type and length. So you are going to store the data type and length inside the domain. You are going to store the data type and length inside the domain. And then what is this data element? So data element tells us how the column will be visible to the end user or customer. How the column will be visible to the end user or customer. That is, let's say this is my MAKT table. It is, but as a developer, I know this matter is material number, this SPRAS is language key. But as a end user or as a customer who do not have any idea of this technical things, will they be able to understand that this is material number, this is language key, we have to store language key into this column, we have to store material number into this column? Will they be able to understand that? Definitely not, right? My end user will do not know what is this MAKTX, what is this MAKTG, because they just know this normal English language. They cannot understand what is the name of this field. So this is a technical name which a developer has given or which SAP has given. But my end user only understand the normal English language. They do not know what is this field. So for them, how the column should look like, it will be defined inside the data element. Inside this data element, can you see this data element? Double click on this data element. Now just see here, there is a field label section. What is written here? Material, right? This material will be visible to your end user, and they will understand that yes, we need to store material into this table. But if I will only show them matter, they will definitely not understand it, right? Because they are seeing it for the first time. You all might be seeing it for the first time. What is this matter? So unless and until somebody is going to explain you material number, you will not understand, definitely, right? So whenever I am going to store data into the table, and let's say I don't have any idea about these technical things, so my application should work in such a way that it should give a good user experience. And how it will give a good user experience? When every column will have a meaningful name. for me, right? For as a user. So it doesn't matter what is the name that we have given of the table of our field inside the table, but the name that should be visible to my end user is the most important thing. Is it clear?
Mhm.
What happened?
Yes, yes, it is clear.
Okay. Slowly you are going to understand that. Okay. You might be seeing it for the first time. That's why this is causing some problem. So let's take a simple example. Here I'm going to write, suppose I have a field name as MKTX. As a developer, I know that in this column we will store the material description. Data description. But the customer is not technical person, right? The customer is not technical person. Customer will say that I have paid you millions of dollars and you are asking me to store data in MKTX. Why I paid you so large amount for this thing? The customer is not a technical person. He only want to see only want to see the column heading as material description, so that he can store the correct data to the column, right? So where we are going to define this thing, we will define into the field label section of the data element, where we will give the label for a field which will be visible to the user. Also, data element is not only about this column visibility. Data elements contains the domain. So you can also call it data element is equal to domain plus field label. And once this is all ready, then we pass our data element directly inside the table. Can you see this is my table? So for each field we have a corresponding data element. Field data element, field data element, field data element, right? Okay, so this is my employee table that I want to create. So for every column I will create my domain and then I'll create my data element, right? So let's start with this employee ID. Client number we will discuss it after 30 minutes. For now, let's create our domain and data element for this employee table. So I'll go for SE11, right? Let's go to SE11. This is my domain. So select this domain radio button and give here any name. And we all know now that all our custom or user defined things is going to start from Z or Y. So I'll start with Z, and let's start with employee ID 3, create. This 3 I'm passing because I have already created lots of employee IDs into this SAP system. So now this is my change section here. First thing is sort description. So whenever you will create any data object, any of the database object or program, sort description is mandatory for everything. If you all remember, when we created our package and transport request in the previous session, at that time also we passed a sort description. So here I will simply write employee ID. Now if I see this domain section, there is one properties tab, there is one value range tab. So first we need to pass the data type. Let's see the data type of it. Data type is character and its length is 3. So I will click on F4 and I will select some of the already standard defined data type. Let's see where it is, character, here char, select it, and I will pass its length as 3. Then now let's go to properties tab. So properties or attributes for any database object, sometime you will see this properties, or sometime here you will see attributes. Both of them contains the generic information of the database object. Generic information means like who has created it, who has changed it, when it was created or changed, what is the package in which it has been stored. At this moment you can see this package is empty, right? Because we have not saved this object. So I will click on save button and I will pass my package. So what was the package we created? Okay, let's go to AC10 and bring our package that we created in the previous session. AC10 display. This is my transport request. I will open the package. This is my package. I will copy its name, Control Y, and I will select it and Control C. I will come back and I will click on save. I will pass the package and I will go for save button. Then I will align my transport request. This is the same that we created. So click on OK button. See here, automatic the package is coming now, right? Definition. So we have created this thing, right? Now I will click one more important thing. Where should I write it? Okay, one more note point. Whenever you will create any object, any database object or program, two things you must have to do. You must have to do. Always program, object, classes, or any API, these two things are mandatory. The first is Control plus F2, which is used for syntax check. That is, we will check whether my object is correct or not. And the second thing is Control plus F3, which is activate. So just see this. Unless and until your object is activated, you cannot use it. So this activation part is mandatory. If you will go and check any of the standard tables, at this moment this is new, it is not in active status. So if you will go and check SC11, just go and check. Let's say I'm going for this MKT table, open it, display mode. What is its status? Active is mandatory. If it is not in active status, we will not be able to use this table at any other program or any other table or any other thing. So activation part is mandatory. So Control plus F2 is the shortcut key, or you can directly go for this one, this icon, Control plus F2, to check the syntax. No inconsistency found. So my domain is correct, and I will click on activate button and I will activate this domain. See, object activated, its status is active. Now if you will go and check in SE10, you will find out, let's refresh it. See here, one domain section has been created, and you will see that this domain is there on our transport request, right? So this my domain is ready. I will copy it and I will locally store it so that I can use it while creating my tables. Domain section here, let's go store it. Then I will go for next column. Which is my next column? Next column is employee name. Here I need character, character 40. Okay. So let's go to S11. I will select this domain radio button. Give here a name, employee name, create button, sort a description, employee name. Your data type will be again character and the length will be 40. And save it first. Package transport request, syntax check and click on activate button. Same stuff for everything. Copy this once it is activated and let's store it, right? Then I'll go for the third one. So third one will be third one is department. It is character 40 again. So let's go there. So this time Z department, I'll give you a name, department, create button, sort a description, department, data type will be character, 40 again, save it, package, transport request, syntax check and activate it. Now once it is ready, again copy it and I will store it. By default, every object that you are creating and allocating on transport request, it will be stored here and you can check it from SE10 or SE09, right? So 3 columns are ready. Let's move on to the fourth one. Manager is character 30. Okay. So SE11, name for our domain, create manager, short description, data type will be character and 30, save it, package and transport request and syntax check and activate it. This one is also ready. Let's copy, come back. Manager is ready. Now the next important one is salary, and here you will see that data type is different. It is CURR. So let's discuss this thing. Let's discuss this thing so that we can easily understand it. Let's discuss it. Now tell me one thing, anyone, whenever we talk about any amount values, like let's say 10,000. So if I will say 10,000, anybody will definitely ask, what is the currency? Are you talking about US dollar? Are you talking about INR? Are you talking about euro, etc, right? So this currency value is crucial and mandatory for the amount data. Is it? Is it mandatory or not?
Yeah.
Definitely it is mandatory, right? Let's say you join my institute, at the same time my salesperson discussed the training fee. You asked, na, what will be the amount and fees and what is the currency we're talking about, right? So SAP's column is all about this one also. If I will only store 10,000, 50,000 or 20,000 there, SAP will not understand what is the currency you are talking about. That is why you will always see that if there is currency, then there will be a unit of that data also. So here you see, this is currency CURR, where we will actually store our amount values, and there it is currency where we will store its unit. Like if it is 10,000, what will be its unit? Is it US dollar? Is it INR? Is it euro, or is it some other country's currency? Its length, this CUKY length is fixed 5. This is a standard field, its length is fixed 5. We cannot change that. But for salary and other columns, we can give our by default length, but this one length is fixed. So these two columns are always there in every, whenever we are talking about amount. Let's go and check our standard tables so that we can understand it. I'll go for my VBAK, again go for VBAK table, and I will check for any amount value, see any currency is there or not. See here, net over is there, net value of the sales document. So this is going to store some amount value, and can you see there is some CUKY also, where we are going to store its unit, right? So
So,
whenever, yeah,
so that unit, that
a unit
CUKY
will not
act.
be a good unit, not will be a good thing, but we are talking about amount value, right? So for that amount, what is the currency? Unit I am using it so that we can understand it normally, but if we are talking about any amount value, what will be its currency? That is what it is all about. Okay.
So it acts as a reference, you can say, right?
Yeah, it acts as a reference. Just see here, for this network, go and check currency and quantity field. Can you see For this network, there is a reference field is there. The reference field is mandatory by default only for this column. For this network, can you see this reference field is WAERK and which belongs from this same VBAK table. So whenever you go for this currency field, by default SAP will ask what is the reference of that. Okay. Perfect. All right. So salary. All right. 7,2. So I'll go there to S11. Domain. I will give this domain name. Salary. Create. I will give here short description. Salary. I will pass the data type. Let's go to F4 and check it. So CURR and 7 and up to 2 decimal. I will give here 2 decimal. We all know amount values are mostly in decimal format. So save it. Package and transport request. Syntax check and activate it. Okay. This is ready. This domain is ready. Just copy and I will again store it here. Okay, salary. Then at last we have the currency. Let's create that one also. CURRENCY. Create currency. And here I will pass the data type CUKY. Now just see, I will press enter. Just see this information given by SAP. Attributes of data type CUKY are corrected, have fixed assignment. It has a fixed length. We cannot change it. Just go for OK button. By default, its 5 length will come. This reference field has a fixed length. Currency keep or currency field. Can you see it? Right? So save. Package and transport request. Syntax check and activate it. Okay. Domain is ready. So is there any question on how to create this domain? Anyone? Guys, don't hesitate in asking any question. Any kind of question.
Could you please show me once again that how the salary and currency field we actually connect
Linked.
in SAP system?
That part is in the table. That part will be in the table. We have just created the domain. Okay. That part will be in the table. There I will show that. Okay. We have just created domain. We have not started to create the table now. Okay. Any other question? No? Omar?
No.
Saurav? All right.
No.
So domain is ready. Now the second portion is, that's why I explain now, whenever we go for creation of table, we have not started creating any table at this moment. I say the first question that should arise in our mind is what will be the domain and what will be the data element. So I first created the domain for my columns. Now I will go for creation of my data elements. So let's start with the data element. First is my employee ID. So I'll copy the domain because I need that. And I will go back to SE11. If you want to create the data element, select the data type radio button. That part again we will discuss in our ABAP programming. Data element is nothing but just a data type, and it is a elementary data type. There we will see that. But for now, I will give an employee name for my data element, employee ID, data element 3. Create button. You can see here 3 types of data type, but we just need to create data element. Go for OK. Pass the short description, employee ID, and by default, can you see a domain? It is there. So we are going to pass the domain here. Okay. Then we will go to our field label and we will pass the label that will be visible to the end user. So 4 options are there for the field label. It depends how your column is there. If your column is short, its length is short, then it will be this one. If you want to display, let's say, employee ID like this one, it will be displayed like this one. It's totally up to you. So how its column is going to be there, accordingly these things will be visible to the user. But the purpose of this tab is only one thing, that my customer or user can understand what is the use of this column. So save it, package, transport request, syntax check, and activate it. Data element. This one is ready. Copy, and I will store it here. Then I'll go for the second column, which is employee name. I'll copy the domain, and I'll go back to AC11. I will give here a name for my data element. Employee name, create data element. I'll give here a short description, employee name, domain here, and again I will give here field label. So copy and store it, save, package, transport request, syntax check, and activate it. It is also ready. Let's copy it, and I will go store it. Data element. Third one will be my department. So department. Let's go and create this one. Back to S11. Give here a name. So Z department. Create data element. Department here. Domain. Field label. And I will give a column name for my end user. So save, package, and activate. So syntax check and activate it. Object ready, copy, and go there and store it. This one is also ready now. Let's move on to the next one. After the department, we have got manager. So manager, SE11, Z manager, create, manager, field label, save it, and activate it. This one is also ready. Let's copy, and I will simply store it here. Oh, copy, store it. Then I'll go for salary and currency. So salary domain, I will create it. Here the data element will become salary. Create button, salary, domain, and I will pass the field label. Okay, save and activate it. Object saved and activated. So copy, and let's go and store there. And at last the currency one. So currency data element, domain, copy, go back to S11. I will give the data type here. So Z currency, create button, data element, currency, domain I will enter. I'll go to field label and I will create my labels and activate it. Package, transport request, activation. So this is how my data element will be created. All the data elements are ready. Any question here in creation of data element? By default, I have already explained Domain we are going to directly pass inside the field label. There are certain benefits of the domain, that is why we are creating it. Otherwise we can also directly pass our built-in type directly here, CUKI and its length. But there are some more benefit which we will see in upcoming session. Domain is not only for just passing the technical characteristic, but it is also used for limiting the value, which we will see in the upcoming session. But for now, just creation of domain and data element. Okay. Any question here? Oh, good. So my domain and data element is ready. Now let's move on to our creation of table. So creation of table. We will create our own table now. This is my first is my header employee table. So we will go to back to SE11. I will select this database table radio button, and here I will pass my table name. So any meaningful name, let's make it EMP table. Is it there? Oh, it is already there. We need something else. Okay, 3 will be good. Employee table 3, create. This is my employee table. Again, short description. Let's pass a short description. Employee table. So for table section, you can see how many tabs are there: attributes, delivery and maintenance, field, input, currency quantity field, and indexes. So whenever you will create any table and you will go for create button, this section will always open. The first one is delivery class. So I will click on F for help. And here I will try to understand what is this delivery class. So to understand this delivery class, the important thing that we are required to understand here is the types of data inside SAP system. How many types of data are there? How many of you know this master and transaction data?
Master
Yeah,
data.
yeah, go on, Devru.
Yeah, explain one by one.
Yeah. Uh, Master data means the data which is not often changing. Like it's
Okay.
mostly constant data.
Can you give
Like
me an
for
example?
an for an employee, the employee ID is a master data.
Okay.
And transactional data, for an example, suppose for an organization, if the payslip or salary is credited, how many
Perfect.
transactions would be possible? Yeah.
Master data, transaction data, and configuration data. 3 kinds of data are there given by SAP system, which we usually use. Master data, the data which is master. So a type of data which we access very frequently, but changed very rarely. The best example will be if you are an employee, every month your HR team will or your finance team will see your data from the table stored, from the employee table stored, and they will credit your salary. Your manager will also see your data to allocate the project. Your client will also see the data to understand your experience and all the projects that you have worked. So these all data are master data. They are accessed very frequently, but they are changed very rarely. So as Devroop explained, for example, employee data of any company, that is a master data. Then we have transaction data. So a type of data which is accessed, which is accessed very which is not access, which is changing always changing, and number of records are continuously increasing. Continuously increasing, right? The best example will be, for example, banking transaction. You see, for example, banking transaction, revenue transactions, all these transactions data, which is often happens in the bank. You see, in every bank there are millions of transactions on a daily basis. So the amount of records are changing and the continuously increasing inside the table, right? So that is a transaction data. And this configuration data, so the type of data which we can customize depending upon the business scenario and requirement. Depending upon the business scenario and requirement. For example, let's say if employee designation is vice president, for Capgemini, he or she will get he or she will get a private jet. That's the simple example that I have taken. It totally depends upon the business requirement. So for my company, let's say I have applied this one, that if I'm the owner of Capgemini, if there will be someone will be vice president, I will give him or her a private jet. Otherwise, let's say a nano car. It totally depends. Okay. So that is a configuration or customizing data. So whenever you go for creation of the table, oh, it has been logged out. Let me reopen it. Delivery class is where you define this thing. Go for S11, table, create button, currently editing. Okay, this is something you are always going to see. We will definitely discuss that in upcoming session. But for now, whenever if you have created any object and by chance system got logged out, so a lock will be applied and you will get this message that your user is editing it. So if you want to release the lock, you can go to SM12, SM12, and you can see the locks that has been applied to the things here. See, where is my table? uh, Manager, no, this table is one, so I will select it and I will delete this lock. Now I will come back and I will go for create. See, we are here. So employee table, I will allocate my delivery class now. So I am going for master and transaction data, so I will select it. Mostly you will always select here A, master and transaction data. And then you have this data browser. This is very important. Open this drop down and see here, display maintenance allowed with restriction, allowed, not allowed, and only display allowed. So if you are creating this table, whether or not you want to maintain data into this table, yes, I want to maintain the data, so I will select the display maintenance allowed. It's totally up to you. You can take any of them and you can just go for editing. There you will understand the limitation of all these things. So these two things, delivery class, pass the type of data, and then in the data browser, we will pass whether or not we want to maintain our table. Then we will move on to attributes. Again, this is attributes tab. In the domain, I explained that sometime we will.
Amrit,
Yeah.
one question here.
Yeah.
You selected just in the previous, data browser, and here we selected display and maintenance allowed, which means we can
See
override
the
the
data. See, we can see the table and we can also overwrite or edit the data inside the table. Okay.
which is on the SM30 transaction, right?
Yeah, SM30 is there, SE16 is there, SE16N is there.
Okay.
Also, we can do via program also.
Yeah,
Right?
understood.
Clear?
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
So attributes tab, So in the attributes tab, again, the properties or attributes tab are same, generic data. So let's save it. Package will come automatically. I'll pass the package, transport request, package is there. Now we will move on to the most important tab of our table, which is field section. So here you will pass technical name of your column, its corresponding data element, and the primary key that is going to be there in your table. Three things you are going to pass here. So first one is field. Now if I see my Excel sheet, the first column was client number. What is client number? What is client number? What is client number? Number column. And why it is there in both my tables? If I see my both header and item table, why it is there? So a client number specifies what whether your table is client dependent or not. The client number specifies whether it is when. So whenever you will see most of your standard tables, as all of them, most of them are client dependent tables, just go and check BBAK display first column MANDT client here. So what you will see here is for client number, the standard data element is already there, which we can use is MANDT. Already, which we can use MANDT. It is the data element MANDT. Just check any of the standard table. Be back. Let's say I'm going for Mara table. First column MANDT. Client dependent only specifies that whether or not your table is client dependent table or not. BBRK table MANDT first column. Second, EKKO table, purchase order header table MANDT, right? So this column has nothing to do with the data. It is only there. This column is only there. This column is only there to identify whether my table is client dependent or not. Into this column we cannot store anything. We cannot store any value. By default, the client number of your SAP system will be stored here. By default, the client number of your SAP system will be stored here. So just go and check. Let's say I'm going for EKKO, content, execute button. Oh, there is no data into this table. Okay. I will open Mara, display, content, execute. See here, first column. Can you see 100, 100, 100? So the client number is automatically there. And what is the client number of this system? 100. So it is automatically stored, right? It is automatically stored. It is not mandatory to use MANDT. It is not mandatory. But for now, since you are going to create this for the first time, please try to use MANDT. After that, then you can practice without MANDT also. Okay. So I will pass my first field as MANDT, and I know its corresponding data element is standard MANDT. I'll pass it and I'll press enter. See here, automatically it is coming client. Its length is 3. Short description is client. Can you see now? The data type CL and T and 3 data has been automatically given. Client and 3. This is a standard data element which we use. Any question here? MANDT? happen? It is always the first field of the table. And since it is the first field, it is also marked as the primary key. It is a guideline given by SAP. Okay.
Amrit, I have a question here.
Yes, tell
Why
me.
it's why this column is not mandatory in every table? Why
No.
sometimes
It's
you use it and sometimes not?
no. Sometime not. It is given by SAP and recommended by SAP to use it. Okay, so that
Okay.
your table will be client dependent. But SAP will cannot force everything on us. Now they have created this software for user friendly and user purpose. So what they are saying is, if you do not want any table as client dependent, you cannot use that. Are you trying to getting my point? What I am trying to explain here? All the standard tables are there as MNDT. All of them are client dependent. So 99.99% you will only create the client dependent table. This is what given by any of the client or any of your customers. But sometime as a developer, we want to let's check the system, right? We want to play with the system. So we usually try, let's don't use this MNDT. What will happen? So sometime, okay. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's give
In
another.
projects,
Yeah.
usually we use client dependent table.
See, in my last 6 7 years, I have never got any project where this MNDT was not used. So what I personally believe that it is used everywhere. But that's why I told, 99.99%. There is always exception in technical terminology. Okay.
Amrit, does client independent means that when you create a table in development, it goes in quality and production automatically?
Client independent, it goes automatically. How it will goes automatically?
That's what independent means, I think. Because if
No.
it is dependent, we can transport it
No.
through TR.
Transportation has something different meaning. Transportation, you are not going to do any transportation. You will store it on the transport request, and your basis team will do the import from one system to another system. This table here, if you are transporting, it does not means that it has been transferred there. The TR has been transferred. The object will also be here, but now whenever you will make the change into this table, you will have to align a new transport request. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's pass the columns. So employee ID and its data element that we created. Where is it? Yeah, employee ID, copy the data element. Here, paste and enter. See here, when I pressed enter, by default, this data type and its short description is coming. If your data element is not in active status, this will not come. So activation is very crucial. So employee ID, one more thing, it is not a space in between, it is underscore. If you will pass a space, it will become meaningless. So I am giving just a meaningful name. If you want, you can also give like this one, employee ID. It's totally up to you. I'm just giving one name that I prefer. Then I'll go for the second one, employee name, and I will pass its data element. So data element, copy and enter. I'll go for department and I will press enter. Copy, paste, manager, its data element, enter. Salary, data element, and enter. Then currency, data element, and enter. Save it. Now just go to this currency and quantity fields. Can you see this one tab is in change mode automatically? CURR. It is asking for a reference table and reference field. So this is mandatory. What is the reference field? My currency is the reference field. Copy it and paste it here. And what in which table this reference field is there? So it is in my same table, so I can copy and paste. One more important thing, if your reference field or reference field is any other table, you cannot still use that. If you want, you can use any column of VBAK, VBAP, EKKO or any other table also where its reference field is there. It is not mandatory to have it in the same table. Okay. So this is my field. Then we need to pass the primary key. So what will be the primary key? MNDT is always by default primary key. Employee ID is my primary key for my table. So let's make it this two as primary key and I'll save it. This is the creation of my table. I first went to delivery and maintenance. I passed the type of data. Then I I passed the data browser. Then I went to fields and I passed the fields and their corresponding data elements. Select the primary key. If there is any currency and quantity, pass the reference field and reference table. Now technical setting. Very important for any table. Go to the technical setting. Two things, data class and size category. What is data class? What is data class? What is data class? So data class is the physical area in which the physical area inside the database in which the table will be stored. Data class is the physical area inside the database. So what SAP has done, SAP has divided the HANA DB into several parts so that we can group the like data or group the similar kind of data together, and we can store them into the section, into the given section. What is the meaning of this thing? The best example will be, let's say in your house, what you do is you arrange your clothes into a proper manner and then you store it into the almirah. Why almirah is there? Because almirah is a perfect place where we can store our clothes, and whenever I will need to store, I will need to find out my clothes, I can directly go to almirah and check it. But what if I do not have almirah, and let's say I have simply thrown my clothes here and there, then it will become difficult for me to manage them, right? That's why SAP has done, it has divided the DB into several parts, and for each section they have given one name, that this kind of data will be stored here, those kind of data will be stored there. Okay, so same thing is defined in data class. Click on F4 and select your data class. We are going for master data. Just select either one, first or second, totally up to you, which you are looking for. Mainly 0 and 1. We are not going for BW, this is some other module, so I will go for this one. And this is the size category where you defined how many data is going to be there in your table. You can select any of this size category. It's be depending upon the requirement. Since this is a table I'm creating for demo purpose, I am not going to store more than 2 or 24 and the records here. So I will simply select this and I will save it. You can select any one of them. It's totally up to your requirement. Save. Now go back, and the two important steps again here: syntax check, no error, so activate it. Object ready. Tell me, is there any question in creation of table? Any question in how to create a
No.
table, right?
Uh,
Yeah.
one simple question, like you said, like for SAP has divided the HANA DB into
Uh-huh.
several class or several sections so that we can define the data class here
Hmm.
to store the data in a particular section of that portion.
Just see
So
it now.
before,
If the data is master, it will be stored here. If the data is APP transaction, you can store it in this section. Why is sectioning here? The simple example I also take that if you want to store your clothes, you will store it at a place so that whenever you need, you can go there and check it.
yeah,
Tell
and
me. Hmm.
previously it is a feature of HANA, or previously when in ECC is there, it is also there.
See, as for what I know, because I have never worked mostly on ECC system. From like last 10 years, I have only worked on S4HANA. So what I what I have saw that this feature was there, and I don't think it was there in ECC. No, 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 it's not like that. This feature is based on database. Okay, this feature is based on database. So when earlier a concept was introduced, which was over the time, let me just explain this. Over the time, every vendor, or let's say most of the popular vendors have realized this concept database sectioning. So this is one feature which we also discuss when we discuss the HANA DB in detail, that this is a concept database sectioning which was introduced. In ECC it is still there, but it was not that utilized properly in case of ECC system, because in case of ECC we mainly use the traditional database which we have lots of limitation. That part we can only understand when we will be discussing the HANA database. But for now, since we are just creating the table, only thing that we need to understand here is that our database has divided into several parts. If we want to store fact table of BW, in this section we will store. If we want to store ODS table of BW, in this in we will store. Similarly, for transaction data, APPL1 and master data APPL0. If you are talking about ECC, there we have pool and cluster table also. But when we talk about S4 HANA, only transparent table can be created. Okay,
Okay.
that's good. Save, go back and activate it again. So object is ready. Now we will see how to maintain data into the table. How to maintain data into the table. So overall, there are maintaining data in the table. Maintaining data into the table. There are mainly 5 ways to maintain data in the table. First one is SE11, SE16, SE16N, SM30, and last one you can call as a via programs modifying the table. Only 5 ways. This is your ABAP dictionary. This is also known as data browser. This is sometimes called as new data browser. And what is this one? This is the most important one. This is the most important thing. We will discuss it. So let's start with SE11. We are inside the table. You can go for utilities, you can go for table content, and you can go for create entry. See, by default, can you see this MANDT is 100 and it is in read mode only. We cannot change it, right? So I'll give my employee ID, some employee ID. Let's say I'll give one employee name here. I'll give here some department, development. I will pass here some manager name, let's say my name, and I will pass some salary and currency US dollar. So save it. Database record created successfully. So how we will see this database record? Go for content and go for execute button. Can you see this database record? Right? It has been created. Let's create one more record. I'll go back. Utilities, table content, create entry. 102. Or some other name. Let's say cloud. One salary here and some currency euro. So save it. This one has also been created. So this is how we create our records from S11. Utilities, table content, and create entry. What if you want to modify existing record? So select the record and go for this pencil button. And here by default you can change any of your existing non-primary key column, but you cannot change your primary key. Primary key can only be created or deleted. It cannot be updated. So let's say I'll make this SAP ABAP and I will save it. Go back and check. It has been saved here, department. If you want to delete it, so select it, go for table entry, go for delete and click on delete entry. This record has been deleted. Now go back and check. 102 is not there. So this is how you can maintain your table from AC11. Now how to maintain it from AC16? So I'll go to AC16 here. Pass the table name. You can go for this content and the same stuff will open. Same thing you can do here for modifying and for deleting. But if you want to create a new record, whenever you will go to SE16 data browser, go for this create button. This create section will open and you can again pass this name, department, manager, currency, save it. Now go back and check it, content, execute. See, new records, right? So this is SE16. Then we have SE16N. So let's go there. Click on execute. See here, these two records are there. If you want to go for new record, 103, let's say ABC, some department XYZ, some manager ABCD, some 200 INR, save it. See, one record, one row has been inserted. If you will update it, so let's say I'm changing manager. So I'm changing the manager name to Amrit and I'll save it. Changed row, right? What if I will delete these two rows? So I will select, I will go for this delete button. I will delete this one also, delete, then I will save it. See, deleted rows 2 now, right? So these three things. So I'll put this SN30 at last. Yeah, it will be at last, fifth one. So above 4 ways for maintaining the table Maintaining the table is mainly for developers. We cannot directly give the access of these things to our end users or clients or customers. So what you will see is in projects, the end user or customer, let's say end user, do not have the direct, mostly the end user do not have the access of SE11, SE16 and SE16N, because they might modify and make some changes in a table, it can become a problem. Let's say I had to create a very important table, and let's say I had to create this table of 361 rows. It took around a week to create this table for us. Lots of things, lots of changes we made, and by mistake I have given the access of this thing to my customer, and by chance he just opened this table and deleted one column from here. The table will become inconsistent. This is not the actual table which was needed by the client. That's why we never give the access of this development thing to the end users or customers. So what we do here is, as a developer, we create a table maintenance generator, and then we give the access of SM30 to our end user. SM30 table maintenance generator we create. So how to create that? You will open your table in change mode. Where is my table? I will go back to SE11, open it in change mode, and here if you have not given display maintenance allowed, let's say I'm not maintenance not allowed, I'll go for activate button. Just see what is going to happen. Utilities, can you see? You cannot create a maintain table maintenance generator cannot be created. So this is mandatory for TMG, display maintenance allowed. Now I'll go for utilities, table maintenance generator. So here we will create our table maintenance generator. First one is authorization group. So here we give the authorization. For example, if I'm creating this table for only, let's say, Capgemini, so I will want that only that particular Capgemini team can access this table, not everyone. So that client will give us a authorization group on their system, and we will directly pass that authorization group here. If you do not have any authorization group, you can select this where it is n%nc, which is no authorization, anybody can access it, because we are creating it only for testing purpose, so we can give this one. Then this is a function group. Function group is something we will discuss in function modules, but for now, whenever you will create the table, just copy and paste your table name in the function group. Function group is also like a container, but there only we will be able to understand that. So for now, just pass the table name. Then maintenance type. So two steps are there, one step or two step. So whenever you will select one step, only one screen will be available in SM30. On the same screen, we will also see the content of the content that is there, and we will also modify our existing content. But if you will select the two screen will come. On one screen it will be let's say it will display the data, and on another screen it will simply you will be able to modify the data. So one by one I will just go for one step for now. Select the find screen, propose screen, go for create button, and I will press enter 2-3 times. See, my request completed successfully. My TMG has been generated. I will copy this table name and I will go to SM30. SM30. Pass the table name, go for edit button. This is your single screen. Here you will also see the content and you will also modify the content on the same screen. So 102, let's say one name, Sikhar Cloud. Okay, and I will save it. See, two records are there. Same screen, you are going to modify that. But if you will go for the two-step, so two-step, first I will delete this TMG and screen number. Wait a second. Delete it. Two-step, propose screen, create it again. Yeah, it has been created. So let's go back to SM30. I'll refresh it, SM30, and I will again go for edit. Now here, this is my one screen. Whenever I will go for new entry, another screen will come now. Two screen for the same, for the management and all these things. So it's totally up to you which one you want to prefer. I personally prefer only one step, so I always go for one step only. So one step, find the screen, propose screen, and create. Okay, this is my TMG through which we are going to maintain the records. Let me see whether I have some records. Yeah, I've got some records. I will copy this and I will simply paste there. Delete them. So /n SM30 edit. I will delete them. Delete them. Save it. Go back. Re-edit. New entry. And I will simply paste my data. Save. Right. Some existing record that I have saved. You can manually enter it also, or you can directly copy from Excel sheet and paste it here. Now just focus on one thing. Can you see this? This heading of your each column. Is this the same heading that we have passed inside the field label? Everyone, please just see this column heading that we have. Is this the same heading that we have passed inside the field label?
No, it's the field name.
See this thing.
No. So the row name.
No. It is the field label. Just focus on that. What will happen if I'm not passing the field label? Just go and check this. This is a good way to understand it. I will go to my fields. Let's say I'm going for employee ID. This is all the field labels that we have. I will simply remove everyone now. I will remove everyone. And this one also. I will simply activate this. Okay. Now one important thing, whenever you are making any changes, we will have to regenerate the TMG. So I'll go back to TMG. I will delete it and regenerate it. So one step, find a screen, recreate. Okay, let's go back to SM30 and see what is going to happen for this employee ID. /n SM30 edit. What is the column heading for my first column? Are you all able to understand why field label is so important?
Yeah. Label is
That's why
blank
Yes.
because we removed it.
plus sign will come, right? That technical name we have given is EMP underscore ID. That is not the same thing that it is displaying. There we have given EMP underscore name, but can you see there is a space here? This is label that we have given. Is it clear why it is so important? Because my client will not understand this technical name. He just want a normal English language word. Okay, let's activate it. So I'll go back, utilities, TMG generation, regenerate it. TMG, we are just generating one screen through which our user can maintain the data from SM30. User can maintain the data from SM30, right? So
So
SM30,
after only generating the TMG, the user can maintain the data
yes,
through SM30.
yes, yes. Let's
Otherwise,
delete
we
this.
can't.
Let's delete it. Let's go to SM30 and pass the table name. Okay, what was the table name? Copy, paste, edit. The maintenance dialog is incomplete or not defined. Can you see? Right? So everything has a purpose. If I am not creating TMG, how can I get it from SM30, right? Now once it is generated, we can refresh this SM30 screen and we will be able to see that part. Display. See, it's coming now. So SM30, my personal suggestion will be for everyone will be always only use SM30 for maintaining the data into the table, as it is a best practice. First thing. Second thing is for maintaining the data from SM30 or creation of TNG, maintaining the data from SM30, always take display maintenance allowed in data browser section of the table. This is mandatory. Sometimes people think that deleting the TMG will delete the data also. No, deleting the TMG will never delete the data. Delete the data of the table. Whenever you make any changes into the columns of the table, it will not directly reflect into the TMG. For that, you will have to delete the TMG and regenerate it again. So are these points clear for everyone? And to delete the TMG, always open the table in change mode. Always open the table in change mode. Otherwise, their delete button will not appear. This is my delete button. Let's go back and see. I'll open the table in display mode. So now I'll go for utilities, table maintenance generator. See here, delete button is not there. Right? So this is all about creating our header table. And this is all about creating any table. You can now create any kind of table. In the next session, we will create our item and then we will see how to link, and then we will discuss the concept of views also. So for now, this is all for today. If there is any question, please ask.